Well, good morning from here in Naga, Cebu. We've had really horrible heavy rain in the last couple of days. I mean heavy rain, not like we get in the UK at all. But today it's warm, not hot, and a beautiful sunny day so far. I thought it was about time we got back to where we started from. When we first launched our channel, we called it The World of John. Not because John's the centre of the world, but because I wanted to celebrate everything that was around me. I feel as though I have a very privileged life. Very beautiful wife, lovely son. We had a nice house and all of that. We just wanted to be celebrating it and talking about our decision to move to the Philippines. And as I said in the opening video, there are going to be a number of strands. Two of them haven't come forth, but the main two are just stories about our life and our hobbies, and a story about us coming to the Philippines. One of the interesting things in that was whether or not Risa, in the 13 years we were together in the UK, had become British, or more British. And the degree to which maybe I was becoming a little bit Messiah. Well, now we're in the Philippines, Risa definitely had become a bit British. Since we've come back, the way she speaks English has changed. It's back to a Messiah context and Messiah idioms. Idiom? Anyway, yes, and I'm finding her a bit harder to understand. I've also managed to get an ear infection, which is making me hard of hearing, so poor girl, she's really struggling to talk to her husband at the moment. So, in the beginning, we wanted to talk you through the thinking and to talk you through the doing of coming here. And I can remember in one of the videos I was expressing frustration that we just never get down to the real nitty-gritty, the detail of the things that you have to do. And I've reviewed some of those earlier videos of us sitting in the garden, sipping wine or sipping gin and tonic, talking about the house being sold, the house not being sold, and one thing and another. I'm going to return to that over the next couple of videos, and I promise I will return to that over the next couple of videos, because I think it's important that I offer something which is informative and which is useful. But you still can't get back to the detail of the anxieties in the moment as things are going right or wrong. You still can't get back to those little private moments as you go to sleep when you're wondering whether you're doing the right thing. Well, not so much you're doing the right thing, because we've always known we were, but whether it's going right or whether it's going wrong. So, back in May, there was a video of selling the house, and we were sitting in the garden and we were talking about that. We were talking about what we would, oops, I'm losing my script. We were talking about what we would do here in the Philippines in terms of income beyond my pensions. Particularly because we want something established for Risa. We thought that we would be buying and selling houses. Our experiences, which again I'm going to talk to you about in the next video or the one after, have put us off that idea a bit. At the moment, Risa's very keen to establish a massage business, so we are very keen, but not doing a lot, about exploring premises and looking at locations for that. Risa is checking out the requirements and to be able to establish that, and is making arrangements to become licensed for that. I hadn't intended to tell you about that. I was trying to recap the history of where we've been. The thing that's important is family. Important in two respects. If you're ever thinking about emigrating, you need to have a long think about that. You need to have a long think about that. From the earlier ones, you'll know that my eldest son, Ashley, is living in the UK. Earlier this year, he and his partner produced my granddaughter, who I've never seen in real life because of COVID. I don't know if I'm supposed to speak about that stuff. Anyway, yeah. So we're engaging now much more in a virtual, a virtual relationship. We engage in our relationship virtually, digitally, and then we just keep my sisters posted. Risa is now much closer to her family. In that sense, we've reversed roles. Risa was having the digital, virtual relationship with her family, and now she's got a real one, and I enjoy with that as well. And I've got the virtual one with Ashley. We then talked about later on in May what we're going to do with the lot. This is the parcel of land that we bought next door to our house. And then at the end of May, 30th of May, in a post reviewing all of the planning that we had, the thinking about what to build, the hours I had spent searching for house plans and thinking about whether they would be useful for us on the plot. It's just all gone. It's just all gone. It's just all gone because we lost the sale of the house. We decided to rent the house in Nottingham. We found this house. Mind you, we knew about this house when we were looking at the lot, but we asked again whether this house was for sale, and discovered that it was, and after some playing around with our finances realised that we could buy this house without selling the house in Nottingham, and was somewhat pleased about that. So we will probably go back and try and pace through that for you so that you can understand the decision points and see what's happening. By the middle of July, we were into lockdown, and I think the warning that I would give for anybody who's planning to emigrate is you need to plan, but your plans are useless. When I was teaching in the business school, I could not get this across to a lot of students. Planning is really, really important. And it's really important that you do it in detail and you think it through very, very carefully. But don't think you're going to achieve the plan. The idea of planning is to learn. To learn from the different scenarios that you create. To learn what it is that you need to be looking out for. To learn what's going to be a prompt to change your mind, to rethink. But just do not expect to deliver what it is that you've put in your plan. So that's the first thing. I have to change my fingers up. The second thing, friends and family. If you're emigrating, you've got to be thinking about how you will be when you've let go of the close relationships, the intimate day-to-day contact with your friends and your family. But also realise that your friends and your family network, your family contacts, are the greatest asset that you're going to have when you're planning and making the move. We could not have moved here without the support of Risa's sister and brother-in-law. DJ is an engineer, a construction engineer. He's a nice guy. He's quiet. He's a bit self-centered at times, but he has helped us so much through his network of contacts, through his own business in renovating this house for us at cost rather than having to pay somebody else to do it. And he's also been instrumental in somebody that we trust to act as our agent, to act as our attorney. Yeah, I think that's the right word. Here. But then, going back to my comment about planning, we tried very, very hard to coordinate dates for the sale or the rental of our house, for flights and one thing and another. And then lockdown came in. We had to leave the house 2 weeks before we could fly. Where are we going to stay? What are we going to do? And then, as you'll hear later on, or you'll have seen already if you've looked at some of the videos, when we first arrived there was trouble with visas. I got sent back, well, I wasn't sent back to the UK. I was not allowed to enter the Philippines, so I had to go back on the flight. And without our close friends in Nottingham, I would have been really stuck, because I had to isolate myself when I got back to the UK, which I did. I then cheated a bit to get a COVID test, which of course was, thank goodness, was negative. It was a good outcome, so I could start going around. But without the help of our friends, we would have been absolutely stuck. It would have been a disaster. So those things are really, really important. The other thing I want to say up front, but I'll deal with it again in detail later, is think very carefully about money. If you look at, and the cockerels, if you look at any videos where people are talking to you about do you or don't you emigrate to the Philippines for retirement particularly, they'll be saying be financially independent. And take that for granted. You've got to have enough money to survive. Currently there's a lot of fuss around these expat channels on e-begging, and one character in particular. And I must admit, I support the controversy. I think this guy ought to be knocked off, banned, taken out. So there's no way you want to leave yourself in that position. But the observation I want to make is that getting a bank account here in the Philippines is not that straightforward, and is a bit contradictory. As a foreign national, I have to have my residency permit granted to be able to open a bank account. That residency permit takes a while to apply for. It's so far taken us 6 weeks, because we have had to apply for police clearance, we've had to extend my existing visa, then we're going to be making the application, then that's got to be processed. All in all, it's going to take 3 months. So there's 3 months at least that you're without a bank account. Oh, don't worry. My wife's a Philippine national. She can get a bank account. She can't get a bank account until she's got what they call a TIN. A TIN, a T-I-N, is a tax identification number. She doesn't work, but she needs a TIN. So we've ended up that the person who's Rena, I've mentioned before, Rena is applying for a TIN for Risa as part of the process of registering the sale of property to us. Sorry, you buy property, you have a contract of exchange, and then it has to be registered. And it's not as fast as it is in the UK. It takes time. So anyway, Risa needs a tin for that, so Rin is going to get a tin for that. Then Risa's got a tin, she can have a bank account. But again, that's taking months. If you are relying on drawing money from the UK, which is okay, you can do it with the modern debit card cash machines, albeit only 10,000 pesos a transaction. You are going to pay heavily for that. You're going to pay an overseas charge, usually, for a foreign currency, and you are not going to get a good exchange rate compared with bringing currency here through another way. If you have a family member who you trust and is prepared to make one of their accounts available to you, great. But you still can't use the debit card because the shops want ID for the debit card that you're using. But you can use the local account to draw cash. So we tend to move lumps of money into this account, which is from Risa's sister, and we're using that. And then when we've got our accounts, we'll return that to her, and things will be more normal. But these little things, despite all the planning, despite all the trying to learn from the scenarios, were little things that I had missed. And Risa just knew that she could use her sister's account, so she wasn't even thinking about it. But yeah, getting the accounts is just not as straightforward as you would like to think. We use two businesses for moving cash. There's something called Remitly. This really is an app for telephones. That's the main thing, and it allows you to move money for us at the moment at quite a good exchange rate. But the thing about Remitly is when you join it, you get an exchange rate which is then locked. So in Risa's account, we get quite a good exchange rate against current market exchange rates. But when I thought about getting an account, I was getting a really bad rate because at the moment that I joined, the exchange rate was around 60 pesos to the pound. But what I was offered on Remitly was 58. No. We're currently getting 63. I'm not sure, because I haven't checked in the last few days, what the mid-market exchange rate is. For the day-to-day calculations and pricing in the shops to try and work out the equivalent, and because it's easy, I use 60 pesos to the pound, which means I tend to make things a bit more expensive than they really are, but close enough. And the thing about 60 to the pound is it's like miles to kilometres. It's 0.6 or 1.6. But anyway, that's by the by. The other business that we use for moving larger amounts of money is Tor FX. Now, I'm giving you both of these. I'm not going to getting anything out of mentioning these two businesses, except the fact that it's a pleasure really to say to you, Tor FX have been really, really good to deal with. They've been very, very helpful. No difficulties at all, or if there are difficulties, they're on the case very, very quickly and do get it sorted out for you. They're based down in Cornwall, which is rather nice. Some of the other businesses that we spoke to and you'll see on the internet based around the City of London, I wouldn't touch them with a barge pole. You know, some of the account advisors, account directors, account managers have barely got two brain cells that communicate with each other, and I have found very, very difficult and very, very frustrating. What's to come? Well, the next video, I've got a working title of what to look out for, and advice. Some of which I've given away already. Classic, isn't it? But I'll take you through more detail the things that have happened for us, and we've dealt with along the way. And then I want also to talk to you about the differences being here compared with being in the UK. The accommodations that you have to make, or the adjustments that you have to make, and these can be quite curious, quite intriguing. In the UK, we hated ants. In the Philippines, you've got loads and loads of variety of ants, big ones and little ones, and itchy ones and not itchy ones. And Risa still doesn't like them, but having watched them, they're actually good housekeepers. They clear up stuff. So one of the accommodations for me is I'm not quite so anti-ant. If I can see them clearing up stuff, I'm happy. And then there are other things which people would have commented on, like the way they drive here, and noisy motorbikes, and actually a generally noisy environment compared with the UK. But anyway, so there's stuff about the pluses and the minuses of being here, and whatever. I seem to have run out of steam and energy. It's just a lovely day, and I should be sitting here on the beer balcony, as we call it, sipping beer and relaxing. Anyway, I'm going to go and make up, edit this video and get it ready for posting. I'm going to try and improve the way in which I have a script. I naturally tend to look away from the camera. I can't stop that. But when I do this, it is a bit annoying to you as viewers, isn't it? So anyway, we'll go for our usual clothes. A nice evening beach scene. I'm really quite fond of that, and I might shoot some different ones for the future. And the moon on the water to say bye-bye. Please do take care. I really worry for all of my friends and ex-colleagues and my relations in the UK. It sounds as though things are quite awful at the moment. Here things are getting better. The restrictions are being relaxed. One of the contrasts, people here wear masks. Sometimes they wear them as chin supports, but they make the effort. What we get to see here about the UK is an awful lot of resistance to being disciplined about self-conduct and personal conduct. Guys, it's a must. With so many friends and the darling wife who was working in the health service, well, for goodness sake, take care, be respectful, be disciplined. It's the only way we're going to get through it. It's enough from a grumpy old man, isn't it? Take care and bye-bye. Life in the Philippines, eh?